आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Now you can notice that when you're not attentive, how we fall into old, past habits, old, past processes. Therefore, a sadhaka has to be alert and vigilant. Every action, every invocation, prayer, sadhana, the moment our concentration, our attention goes away, we fall back into our old repetitive patterns. Therefore, the essence of any sadhana, including Shravana, listening, should be with full alertness, attentiveness. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Recognize and know directly, immediately, the effect of a sadhana, a practice well performed. See how the mind, when with feelings, calls out for peace, how we experience right now within ourselves, even the atmosphere around us, even the people around us, how they become still and peaceful, then it is not informative knowledge. It is my direct experience. Meditation is not just doing something, chanting something, chanting a mantra, or doing some pranayama or breathing. All of them are to lead us to the state of quietude. And in such a tuned mind, the subtlest of all knowledge that we have received from the Guru Parampara, the words of the Upanishads, which are not describing an object, but indicating that which cannot be described by words, that which cannot be seen, heard by the senses, nor smelt, touched, nor it is the feelings or moods of the mind, nor it is the condition of our life, but one who is aware of all these changes. Whatever thoughts are arising in your mind, you are aware of them. When the mind is quiet, thoughts are moving in harmony. It is easy to recognize that I am aware of my thoughts. It's not even repeating this thought, I am aware. I know. Having made the mind relatively quiet, when the flow of thoughts like the river when it is torrential, fast, flooding, it seems to carry everything away with it, wash it away. But when the quality of our thoughts make our mind crystal clear, like the waters from the origin, when the thoughts like the waters of the river flow gently, it is easy to stand at the banks and watch the flow of the thoughts like you watch the river. Once you've recognized yourself as the one who is aware of all these thoughts, then whatever may be the thoughts, whatever speed they may be in, you can still, as though, stand apart and watch this flow. And the recognition is direct. The one who stands at the banks of the river does not get carried away with the currents that come and go, is independent of the conditions of the river. Same way I, who is the knower of the mind, is independent and free of the mind. Whether fast or slow, whether dirty or clean, I am ever independent, ever free, untouched. I am the consciousness. I am free, independent, eternal, untouched, infinite bliss. Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham Shivoham. This is not just to be repeated in the initial stages of meditation. These mantras are repeated to remind us. It is to be realized. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurudeva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Good. How easily most of you glided into meditation. But the moment you tell your mind that you're going to meditate, either excitement or anxiousness, or the thought that I can't do it, I'm very new to it. See, this is how you guide your mind. So as Gurudev would say, very good. So having yesterday given the complete explanation, not only summary of the spiritual path and the importance of karma yoga, the importance of worship, the importance of upasana, then we can understand what is the true import of what the Guru is now indicating to us. That the previous sadhanas that we do bring us to that state where the mind is free of the gross extroverted desires, free from likes and dislikes, free from the impurities that comes out of selfishness, etc. And that mind which through upasana, holding on to an ideal, not only becomes concentrated, because what we are inspired by, what we love, what we are devoted to, what we admire, it is easy to concentrate your mind on that. And when the mind is concentrated, that mind, we unleash its various potentials. We release its various potential. To even come to a class of Vedanta and to sustain, trying to understand even a little bit of it, it is due to many, many lifetimes of intelligent living. Not only does talk as any creature, intelligent living. Yet we do not even know, and even modern psychology, including modern sciences, have not fathomed the depth and range of our minds. Our rishis found techniques by which quickly these could be achieved. Thus, even when the student came to the Gurukula, they were initiated into the Gayatri Mantra. Suya Sandhya Vandan, Upasanas, we'll be speaking about it because our Vidyarthis here will be getting their Upanayana on the 7th. You're all invited. Normally parents are there. You are there like their parents. Yeah. So many different upasanas, and the upasanas that are mentioned in the Vedas are very subtle. It is thanks to Ved Vyasa who simplified it, and its praman is also there in Kenopanishad itself. Those very subtle upasanas, their principle, if we understand of upasana, that you take some great ideal, vaster larger, incomprehensible at this moment in your mind. Not just Baladhama, Atulita Baladhama. And as your mind adores, worship, concentrates on that ideal, unknowingly, even without your effort, what you admire, what you think of, your mind develops the confidence, it is possible. So many things. Now I'm not going to go into everything. You have to do it and discover it. Therefore, don't take these upasanas lightly, but do them properly as prescribed by the scriptures, not our whims and fancies. Even though in bhakti it is said, because the most important thing is your faith, devotion, and your dedication. So those upasanas as taught in the scriptures. Today, if you study the upasanas in the Vedas, from mathematics to the cosmos to even progeny in Taittiriya, how we can lift our mind from the gross to the subtle, and then only we can take it beyond. But very often we get stuck in the means. And in the means we said, this is it. Or we are aspiring only to get some power, some ability of our mind, so that we find that our life becomes more successful. We fall into such traps again. The gross way, again it is in the world. I remember when I used to come here for camps, the first camp I came, you could see, as though, it was a fruit in the palm, all you had to take it as prasad from the Guru's hand. Gurudev made it so simple that you'd wonder, how it could be otherwise. But when you go back after the camp with the world, first there's a sense of disgust. What have we been doing? The very same people we went to the parties, all that comes about. And then we find that we are becoming so judgmental. And our habits are also coming back because we are not alert. Then we get disgusted with ourselves. But काम na छोड़ा, क्रोध na छोड़ा, नाम जपनी छोड़ दिया. Then we leave our sadhanas, we leave our upasanas. This begins to happen. And then, even in learned people, etc., we find that there are compromises. This should not dishearten us, but especially as new people on the spiritual path or youngsters on the spiritual path, you get disgusted with the compromises that people make in religion, even on the spiritual path. So it did happen that the very people who inspired us were stopping us from coming to the ashram. Not disgusted with their bad behavior, nothing. There was nothing bad in their behavior, not sensuous, etc. But where is your faith? Where is your conviction? Where is your devotion and shraddha in the Guru? Yeah. So it was such a compromise that parents and others don't stop you from going to parties, etc. But your own family members will stop you from going to a spiritual camp. No? And sometimes the ones only who inspired you to go for the first time. So those kind of compromises, not judgmental. Everybody's got their own, growth. Yeah. Everybody may be getting their own attachments. Why judge them on that? So many of my friends were not allowed to come for the camp because why? Every morning we used to get up early and every morning go to discuss ʟɪᴑ. Rather than seeing this enthusiasm, we are being discouraged. Are you going too far? Are you not going too far into your business? Too far in your attachments? Too far in spirituality? So these things, as they come up. So when I came second time, I was the only one allowed. Because my parents said, I don't see my child. I see my child only becoming better. Doesn't take any other holidays for going sightseeing. So what if he goes to a spiritual camp, if that is what his interest is? But others were not allowed. I was very saddened. So I asked Gurudev. And my way of questioning, I just said, Gurudev, that, because he asked why others have not come. So I said, they were not allowed. He's like, he was like, so then I had to tell him, that I said, they are saying that, we should not come for these camps because, we are overdoing spirituality. And Gurudev didn't say anything. I didn't take anybody's names. He didn't say anything. He just said, you don't come here to fool around. This is your Guru Sthan. Come whenever you can. You should come here. This much Gurudev said. But still, there was this question in my mind that these are good people, wonderful people. They're not that there's anything bad in them, crooked in them. But how come they themselves don't come? Then they stop us from coming. Isn't this a compromise? And youngsters always, they're not disgusted by your extrovertedness. They're always disgusted by compromises. Yeah? And we must be disgusted with our own compromises also. Yeah? That time, Guruji was the Acharya here. So with him, we could have, so I went to him. As first time, I was kind of, in a revolting kind of a mood, not against Gurudev or Guruji or anything, against the whole, the whole idea of society being such a compromise. So I was asking Guruji questions. What is our self-effort? What is Satyam? If Satyam is living up to your conviction, all these things. And as Guruji always peers like that he's not interested in answering your questions. So he would brush me off. That one day I just went and sat in his room and I said, I'm asking these questions because this is what is there. And how can these people actually stop you? Stop you from doing Guru Seva, stop you from satsang, stop you from going to these camps. Are we being hypocritic? And he said something very beautiful. And after that, I stopped judging, even that compromise in people. And learned that one thing, that what I see as not right in someone, whether they are right or wrong, that's not the issue. But if I don't see something right, because they also from their own intention may have said, out of their own concern or whatever their understanding is. But what I see wrong in them, I should not emulate that. I should see that I don't do that myself. And what Guruji told me is that unfortunately people study this level of Vedanta also. It's not that this knowledge will not help you in every aspect of your life, including monetary success, not even material success. What few millions or few crores that are you earning? Even the youngsters who come, when they expand their mind, and upasana is expansion of your mind, not the restriction and fanatism that people create in it. It's the expansion of your mind, unleashing the various potentials of your mind. Taking those principles, seeing that people actually do not understand until you see something measurable. Based on Gurudev's these subtle knowledge bits. When I created the course, Make It Happen, and youngsters, including CEOs of the largest company, how we restrict even our success. And same thing happens also in our spiritual studies, our meditation, our upasanas, that we attain a certain level, which is a great level in this world. But we get restricted. Our success itself leads us to a plateau where we fear failure. Our technique has worked. And whatever has brought me to this level, I hold on to it. But if I have to go to the next level, I have to let go and climb. It is from that standpoint that the Rishi said, that it is not what you worship here. Means whatever sadhana you have done, that is not the be-all. It has to be direct. This doesn't mean that you should give up the sadhana. That the sadhana must be done well. And that sadhana brings you to the level that your intellect has expanded in such a way that that incomprehensible, infinite reality that cannot be described by words, which cannot be known by the mind, is realized. It's the impossible that is made possible. If our upasanas, whether our seva, karma yoga or upasanas, has not helped us to detach and not dependent on the world and circumstances of the world, then it is not karma yoga. This doesn't mean give up karma yoga, which means start doing it properly. If our upasanas had not made us more loving in this world, our devotion has not made us more loving in this world, more caring in this world, which means we have not yet fulfilled the upasana. If we are doing all this upasana and seva and we cannot understand the true import of these scriptures, the Upanishads, which means we should still do our upasanas, improve and intensify our upasanas, and these upasanas unleash. Outside in the world also, you will see that you are unaffected by success or failure, joy or sorrow. Unaffected doesn't mean that you remain in failure. You don't bar yourself as a failure and say, get depressed, nothing has happened in this world, I can't do anything, That was very important to understand. Otherwise, suddenly, and there are people who study Vedanta, and I said, this is for lower category of people. All this bhakti, shakti, Or, I'm a sannyasi, no karma. Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha sa sannyasi cha yogi cha. Na niragnir nacha kriyaha. See, the true import of it is not understood. So here when the teacher is saying these words, it is not that upasana is wrong. Worshipping of the Lord in a form or with qualities is wrong. It is now telling that your faith in your fourth standard lessons, in your fourth standard instructor, your fourth standard discipline, now should lead you to be fit for the higher school lessons. This is very important to understand, otherwise misunderstanding of these statements, we develop another ego. At the same time, sincere seekers also pursuing the path sometimes do not see the results because the principle of upasana, the principle of karma yoga is not understood, and we get rigid in our practices very often out of a superstition. Today if I don't do meditation, everything is going to go wrong. That's why I said, Guruji said that people do sadhana or even study Vedanta Can you imagine somebody who studied Vedanta for so many years tells me that, how much income I'm going to get? What? See? So this knowledge is to take you beyond all our limitations and therefore all our dependence on things and beings for our happiness. Through upasana only you begin to realize what? That in your mind alone there is the capacity to be happy without any external things, even though that is still limited happiness as a state of mind. Otherwise, understanding the word meaning of the Upanishads, Bhagavan Shankaracharya, in these very potent lines, has explained this. And our Gurudev used to elaborate it. Can you imagine? When he first started speaking on the Upanishads, look at the explanations that he has given. Basically of every word, every line of Sri Shankaracharya. And explained it in a language that we can understand. After the Kenopanishad talks, he actually had a Naam Sankirtan. That's why the teacher suddenly says, and asks the question to the student. And the question I asked yesterday. And you gave the answer also. Now see, the teacher says, to you only, because you gave the answer. You are the student, Yeah. The Rishi is the teacher. The Rishi is asking the question to you that, did you understand it? Some said yes, some said no. Then he said that, and some were like, kind of. Not that I did not understand, but I'm not that dumb. But, not clearly, but, So the teacher asked the question,
Yadi manyase suvedeti daharameva pinunam tvam vetha brahmano rupam yadasya tvam yadasya deveshu athanu mimamsyamevate manye viditam.
Yadi manyase suveda iti. If you say that I know it very well, then the teacher says, Dharamevapi nunam. Then certainly you know very little. Bas ho gaya, Now, but let me put in simple words so that you can understand when we say, bahut sun liya, bas ho gaya. This doesn't mean that you have to keep on listening and all that, no? But if you think that I know it well, you have not known it well till you have realized it. That is the meaning of the teacher. Till you have realized it, merely understanding the word, the meaning, the grammar, and quoting it left and right, and I know what is the nature of Brahma, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, quoting left, you don't know it very well. Therefore, the teacher says, if you think that you know it well, then you know just a little. Brahmanaha Rupam. You just know the Rupa means just the indicative definitions of Rupa here. Doesn't mean you know Brahman only in a form, but your form means what you have understood is only conditioned Brahma. I will explain in the next verse what is conditioned Brahma, where we even consider that, of course, I know I am conscious of my thoughts. That is also conditioned. That's why I didn't tell you this before. that you have understood the idea of Brahman, which in the learning process it is necessary. Don't think it's not. Yeah? You've just understood an idea of Brahman. And Brahman is not an ideology or a concept. That's why the teacher clearly has said that that which cannot be thought of by the mind. So that the teacher is making clear that we have not just studied something and memorized something and just repeating something. And of course, precisely, that's why, these scholars used to have these debates also that you don't know Advaita Vedanta, because Advaita Vedanta doesn't talk about meditation. They're still going on foolishly talking these things. You've understood only a limited idea of Brahman. It is Dvaita, it is Advaita, it is Vishishta Advaita. We still get confused about. Advaita is not an exclusive philosophy, it's an inclusive philosophy. It can put everything in its right place. It is not rejecting philosophy. Therefore, there can be no fanaticism. And if you have fanaticism as an Advaitin, you are not an Advaitin. You must be convinced of Advaita, that there is only one indivisible, infinite reality. And no one and anybody is excluded from it. So don't understand that there is Brahman out there. I have to reach. Or I have to become Brahman. I have to meditate for many, many lifetimes to become Brahman. These are all ideas that what you have understood is only limited idea of Brahman. So you have understood only a limited idea. Even when you say that after many lifetimes I will realize. So what, Brahman is in somewhere in time or lifetime? See, I'm breaking down all these notions. Otherwise you'll understand you have understood one form of Brahman or a concept of Brahman. These are all concepts only that I will realize. If you have understood Brahman, then Brahman is here and now, and I am that. Huh? Brahma tat Brahma tvam vidhi. And what I am is not, if you say that I know very well or I am not very clear and I don't know well, an object you can know very well or not very well. Yourself, either you know or you don't know. And you cannot even say I don't know because the knower himself. Confusing. Just when you thought you know it. Yeah. If you think you are confused, that means you didn't know it. But yesterday I thought I know it. Today you confused me. How can anybody confuse you if you know it? So therefore, you have understood just, when you say a form of Brahman, not that Brahman has a form, though in all forms Brahman is there only. You've understood little, and little of something is not knowledge. There was a great Mahatma, and we had a chance also of listening to him. Gurudev, and he was contemporary, even Taponji Maharaj used to tell him to, speak on certain texts. So, he was one, once a disciple went to him and said, "Isko gyan to ho gaya hai, par ye adhrid gyan hai." Means, we need firmness in knowledge, dridhata in knowledge. No? So this Mahatma said, "Isko adhrid gyan ho gaya hai na." तो दृढ़ नहीं है ना इसका ज्ञान, तो दृढ़ निकाल दो तो क्या बचा? अज्ञान. See, not firm knowledge. So if it's not firm, why put firm there? Remove firm. It is not knowledge. So, to make us understand the nature of this knowledge, and this is how scholars or even people who keep on studying Vedanta, because it is an essential process. But don't get stuck to the words. Do not even get stuck to the definitions. Do not even get stuck to the arguments and debates on it. Taponji Maharaj, if you read and must read Wandering in the Himalayas as well as Ishvara Darshan, must read that. Then you'll understand what a spontaneous, what a natural state. When he speaks, it's like everything is Brahman, you are Brahman. What is there? It is not that it cannot be proved logically, but what do you need to do logically? It is you. What is there to doubt? The way he speaks about everything being Brahman, it just looks like, how could it be otherwise? Must read, huh? Must read. Go get today. I don't know whether it's there in stock. It's like, it is Brahman. So once he was traveling and he came, and Himalayas that day, only those saints who had, such forbearance as well as knowledge. So there was a group of people, and this person was probably the Mathadipati of that place, and everybody knew, and even till today know, that such a Vedantic teacher was so rare. So they think that Shankaracharya went and debated and showed his supremacy over all. That was not what he came to show. It was only the limited ideologies that have come into society, even in the study of the Vedas, for sincere students, and to remove those ideologies from society, the great master went length and breadth of the countries to re-establish the real ideology of Veda and the practices by which you can be fit for this knowledge and the methodology of revealing this knowledge. Every word I have chosen, please make a note of it. This ideology, because otherwise people just study books and books and books, Nayam atma pravachanena labhya. Na medhaya. ʟᴏᴜ tena labhya. One who chooses that and that alone, that is what is required through this knowledge. That other than Brahman and other than Brahman, nothing can give me that satisfaction and happiness. And other than Brahman, there is nothing else that is real. All is imagined. Whether our joys, our pleasures, our securities, our wealth. ʟᴜ tena labhya. These are the important parts of the scriptures. Not these debates, these arguments. Those are only to convince our intellect. And people get into these debates, argument. This is Shuddha Advaita, this is Vishuddha Advaita. You people talk about meditation, then that is not Advaita. If you're talking about Advaita and the Upanishads, then why do you have these temples and these worships? But Guruji had said, You just do what our rishis have told us to do. And only when we did it, we realized that those who had done PhD, those who were so intelligent, who used to get very good in their notes, and there were others who did not even understand English, who did not even know, but they just followed the instructions of the Guru. They just did the practices what was told to be done. Gurudev had told us, even though I know, he's even shouted at people and told them, about certain things that should be provided, etc. But told us, you don't complain about anything. Those who complained had many complaints about them. And those who just listened that, then realized that what have we achieved by just following these simple instructions? So when Taponji Maharaj was traveling, this man, he says that, and there they have Shastrartha. So what else? Even if you realize the truth, you just discuss. But not for argumentation, not to show your supremacy and your knowledge. So he told Maharaji, and they used to have that, even Taponji Maharaj used to have that. He would also go and sit with some masters and discuss. Even sometimes look like as though he's learning also. So this man said to him that, I want to have discussion on the Shastras. So Taponji Maharaj said, why do you want to have discussion on the Shastras? What is the purpose behind it? Is it so you have more clarity? He said, no, I want to defeat you. Is that what Shankaracharya did? I want to defeat you. I want to show that, So he said, if that is already the purpose, I give you the privilege. I accept defeat. See, what we have understood of the spiritual path, even in gaining knowledge, is very limited. That's the meaning of, that all you know is the Rupam of Brahma. And understand that it is that same infinite consciousness which is there even in the cosmic forces that we call as Devatas, which we worship, which we do upasanas of. So this form, when you say, it is conditioned by, again, devas means our senses. And this is something very subtle here to understand. That we understand Brahman, which is indicated as the eye of the eye, the mind of the mind, as one who is conscious. But so also the senses appear to be conscious. That consciousness that you are understanding right now is also consciousness conditioned by your thoughts, with reference to your thoughts. It is even beyond that. That's why you say, I just felt it, Swamiji, when you said that, I just got it. You have to reflect more upon this. This is not that the teacher is doubting your knowledge. It's just checking. This is like, he has put the post on the ground. Now he's shaking the pros that when you go from here, are you sure that what you have gained is the absolute knowledge, because you cannot be shaken. So to say that I know it very well or I don't know very well can be said about an object, about yourself, which it was said, which is other than the known and the unknown. How can you know that I know it very well or I don't know it I don't know it at all, or I do not know it very well? It is some objective knowledge that you may be holding. You may be holding. Therefore, the student goes after breakfast, reflects, examines, and then comes back, hopefully declaring what the student declares in the next verse. And that declaration is so wonderful. We shall see that in the next session. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.